Hello artists, today we are making a seascape and we're gonna have a foreground, middle ground, and background. Now, foreground and background are a review. We've done things before that have a foreground and a background. Foreground is everything that's in the front of your artwork, and you show that by placing those things at the bottom of your paper, and the background is what is in the very back of your artwork, and you show that it's far away and in the background by putting it up high on your paper. You can also overlap to show foreground and background. And we're going to add a middle ground, so we're just going to have a little bit more going on in this piece of art than we have in our other pieces of art where we've shown distance and things. We're also going to have water in here. So instead of calling this a landscape, we're going to call it a seascape, because that just means that it has a body of water in the piece of art. Okay, so what I did was I made some worksheets to break it down for you. I have the foreground, and you can see how I have drawn the plant life. I drew the flowers and the vines and leaves and things that cover the entire bottom of my paper. That is the foreground. Now, when you're drawing your foreground, you do not have to do the same thing as I have done. You don't have to do all flowers or anything like that. I have had students in the past that did a cactus field or just nothing but fancy leaves and vines, or you could just do all flowers. It's really up to you. So after you make your foreground, then you're going to add that middle ground, which is going to be your water, so that this can be a seascape. So, you know, I like swirls. So I added some swirls on mine to be waves. And then I put the water coming off of my waves. You do not have to do that if you don't want to. This is your artwork. I want you to use your imaginations and whatever you want to draw to represent your water. Okay, so then after you've added that layer, which you notice it goes all the way down to the foreground, because the foreground is basically overlapping your middle ground. Okay, and then the very last thing you're gonna do is you're gonna add your background, which is basically going to be, you know, behind your water. You're going to have some hills, there's some land back there. So I just started here at my wave, and I drew a line here, and then I drew a line here to represent the hills. Now I put some different sized circles all over my hills just to sort of make it look almost looks a little Dr. Seuss-ish, but it's kind of an abstract-y way of doing, maybe there's flowers in the distance, something like that. You can do whatever you want on your hills. I've had students that did, they drew a cow on the hill. I mean, it could be whatever you can dream up. And then the very last thing for my background would be the sun that's kind of peeking over the hills. And so I drew the sun, and then the rays of my sun, I made sure and just made the rays go all the way off the paper so that I'm filling the entire paper. You want this to be an exciting drawing with a lot going on. And then I added some designs inside of the sun rays. Make it fancy, make it your own, think of your own designs. Now, if you have something to color this with, that's great. We are painting ours at school. If you have a Sharpie, wonderful. Get it outlined. If you have crayon, you could color it. If you have paint, paint it. Or you may leave it black and white, but be sure and take a picture and send it to me on Seesaw. And I will, let's see. Well, you'll have these worksheets to look off of because they're going to be on your Google slide. So have fun. Can't wait to see your drawings.